in a kind of ginga to the man.
How many musicians in your orchestra?
I have three.
Yourself and three.
This is dream season.
Oh, what?
Dream seasons.
No, I said I am a musician.
Oh, musician.
Yeah,
Playing in
Yes, 15.
15 weekends.
15.
Normally not three. They all live here, no?
Around this
Around, yeah. And then they come to, well, it's all the videos but this is most nice because it's, you heard them play traditional, but not all instruments. So there was only three. Normally there are 15, which is 1 or 2 basses, 3 or 4 the baritone, which is behind, and then like 8 for these ones, and then the drums. Playing drums, and then the dancers, normally is with the dance. And the galanga is all the ceremony, which lasts almost 2 hours, is kind of a concert. But normally we structure it. It's one moment of dancers only, then music without singing, and then music with singing, and then solo, and then with drums, without drums. It's a structured music.
They make those instruments themselves?
Yes, yes.
So
He built these instruments.
Wow.
Here,
This man here?
this man, here behind,
yeah.
You see, this is it's a hole in the earth, and they put they burn. You see, it's a little bit burn. They put fire, they put something metal, and then at the top put the wood, and then dries, and burns a little bit, and then leave the red. I think they put even earth or something. It start cooking there, the wood, during 1 night or 2 nights, and take it off, and they start to cut it and to tune it in the way they want. So this is the construction of this, and all these instruments we have, they construct there. That's what you see behind you, behind the chair. And the wood is miñanga, we call it, which is a tree there, but each time it's more difficult to find. So that's now they charge a little more than timbilas, because before it was full of miñangas there, and now it's not. They have to travel like 2 hours, 200 kilometers to get the sons, goes, the kills, and go anymore. To catch the wood, they bring in and say, well, this cost me a lot of money to go there. I mean, the wood is free. They just go in and cut and take it. And the UNESCO recognized like a patrimony heritage from the humanity, and they try to help. They give some money to replant the plants, but I asked them, nobody knows this. The ones arrive, nobody's planting anything. So probably they pay the money, but this is very often there. They arrive to the government, they have so many debts and things, they say they plant and maybe they make a photo to send to the UNESCO, but they give the money, I don't know what, to construct something they needed to do it urgently. So this, I don't know how much wood of this, how much this is left, but maybe not that much. You know that in Mozambique, it was the clarinets, the ébano, it came all from Mozambique, and now it doesn't exist anymore, maybe 1 tree or 2, I don't know. The Mozambique is very old tree, and all the constructors, they bought it because they need to make clarinets, and it was very good wood for the clarinets. Now they invent a synthetic kind of wood, synthetic, that they imitate, and they are doing from other woods like granadilla and other also very hard woods. But the ébano is finished. You see some they still have, but nobody construct anymore with this wood. And of course the clarinet need a lot, because for all the orchestras in the world, all the clarinetists, there is no timbalators playing everywhere in the world. It's only Mozambique. There's one band in Holland, which is they do only traditional. I don't know if still they do, but I know they have the instruments. 20 years ago they did. They get together and us. It's the only bands which exist. And so maybe that's there's not so much need for wood. Maybe that's will be okay for the trees. I don't know. So I don't know if you know this is what. This is the can tell you. I don't know if you are interested in something. I can.
Maybe, I mean, it's just a suggestion, but if there's any percussionist or anyone that wants to have a go with the instrument, this is one-off.
Are you a percussionist?
Yeah, taking
No,
it.
no.
And taking the instrument back to Portugal on Monday. So
Yeah, I take it tomorrow.
you'll be, even if you are not, I mean, you want to have maybe you could do a sort of explain the mechanics of the.
How is weird. Well, this, in fact, we repair it when Machume comes last summer. He was 1 month. When he comes, he's kind of my colleague in the house. He stayed with me at home. And then I asked him because he was getting. Sometimes we don't have a concert in half year, so they are storage there for a long time. Sometimes we have a lot. And when he came, so he put like 2 made completely with the one left of the thing they use, which is very similar to this material. And then he bought this and put this. This is kind of amplification, like a marimba, the tubes. In fact, it's both things. The tube is this. This is the hole have to match well, and they try to see the tuning. It match with this. This is kind of cabasa, the big ones, and this masala is a kind of, I don't know what's the name, a fruit.
Apple share.
Yeah?
I think it's called apple share.
Ah, yes, in English. Yeah, I know he was telling me the name, and I don't remember all names. I think it's masala, this fruit here. And then the biggest is cabasas from pumpkins, kind of pumpkins. But, and then, so it's made of that. They put this plastic, which in fact I saw now is 1 box, maybe it's the trip, they get this one, they don't have, you see here, but they don't have, it sounds much less, have this sound typical. This is more pure, this is what we do with our instruments, more like that. And many other balafons in some other places, in Africa they put it or not, depends. It's softer, because here it's from outside, the balafons they used to play less, like 2 or 3, and it's not so strong. But this instrument is really strong. They think why they constructed so big orchestra, it seems it was long time ago commerce with Indonesia. Because Indonesia comes in the Indic, so probably been boats coming and having commerce with Mozambique, like 1,000 years ago or something. I don't know when they could navigate it. And then they start to wheel like a melan in Indonesia. That they have the big bases, and then they start to make it. They think this is what the anthropologist says now is that they have this influence, and the music is also a little bit structured. The big ones, the low and things, they have kind of similar. Of course, but very adapted to Africa, and as you see, in fact, it's quite complex. The way the polyrhythm is quite complex, because they do one thing in one hand and the other in the other. It's not. It's like 7 to 3, and then it's 4 to 9, and it's always very difficult to analyze. And very difficult to learn. He simplifies for us, and then little by little he gives something more complex, and then he do still more complex when he plays with us. But they don't know, they don't have analysis. So
do they also improvise within these sort of structures?
There is structures, and then some process they improvise.
Yeah. And presumably that also starts to differ, or perhaps less so now, but 15 years back when you had different communities that had their own sort of styles within it. So you'd kind of get different sort of forms of, because it's quite, am I right in thinking most of the instrumental pieces are as polyphonic as the kind of pieces that we were hearing there? Where
it's very polyphonic. It makes a structure polyphonic and polyrhythm. And
do they have fixed duration?
big one.
Songs, do they have a fixed duration?
Yes, they have.
Or they can improvise as long as they want? Or?
No, they have durations. When we will learn, we decide also. We decide also to accord with when we say, well, this song can repeat several times, and I do the solo, and then here you do this, and then here the bass change to that, and then we come up again like in the beginning, and then I do this, when I do this call, we repeat several times, when I do this call, there is a call, and then we go to the end, or something like that. So we decide this, and they probably do this, the leader, like he is, and then they play, and when then he does something, they know they go to that part. But he, normally the leader, decide, he's playing, and then play the solo, and then comes back, and then they do something, and then that means that it goes to this place.
How long did it take you to learn?
Well, in fact, I learned the other one, in the traditional.
Yeah.
We had like several times. He came when he is in Europe. We bring to Portugal. Like 3 times 1 month or something. We learn with him.
Yeah.
And then from then we started to. I know a repertoire like not too long, like half an hour of traditional with him.
Wow.
And then this I'm learning now. The first time I played the lead, kind of the lead. For this project and for the solo, but this I learned it like, I mean, it's like if I learn a new piece of marimba.
Okay.
And you need to learn by listening.
No, I know the notes. Well, in fact, here I wrote a little bit. You see, fa, do.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I mean,
So, la, do, mi, because it's quite difficult when you don't have this here.
Yeah.
You get immediately you get lost.
reference.
I know this is F, it's similar to the F,
Yeah.
more or less. And in the writing, he put F, because we decided, so we have to write somehow. So I said, the most similar is F, so that's F, Fa, Sol, La, Si, Do. The Si is very different, it's not being flat, but not being natural.
But in the legend of the score, I have a pitch analysis of the instrument
Yeah,
I use. So I put, from E flat to sort of 18, 19 keys, I think, the exact pitch that I was working with, just in case, for study purposes.
Exactly.
But these are not evenly divided sort of intervals, are they?
No, I mean it's temperate, but
Yeah,
not
yeah.
quite.
It's
No,
kind of-
quite
Is it
not.
sort of close to that, but not as accurate, perhaps?
It sounds
Close
like
to what?
a diatonic scale,
Kind of diatonic.
but
Yes.
different tunings.
Yeah, 7 notes, you have octaves, so here.
It's a diatonic scale, so
Yeah,
notes, but different tuning.
Yeah.
But inside is not really.
Does it repeat within the octave?
Yeah, yes, you
Yeah.
repeat that, yeah, that's repeat.
Yeah.
But also, it's not exact of us. I mean, the octave, for them, it's not that interesting. I mean, they listen the color and they talk very metaphorical.
I mean, I was quite...
Maybe when it's low or something, they say, this timbila sounds sad. They say that, or it needs a lover or something. They start to do these things like you start to understand, but they don't talk it is untuned. I asked last time, please tune it them. And then he came and said, I tune it all. And I started, but it's exactly the same. I know this maybe it's a little higher than the other, but it's still higher. No, I tune it. He said, but you didn't touch. I said, yes, I touched. And I touched. In fact, he touched only this plastic cord here, arranged this, and he equalized the vibration of this. But then for him, this was tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with the chikulu, the bass instrument, which I use in my piece quite a lot. This because it has only 3 keys, but 2 of them are almost the same. So there's a difference between the 2 of them. But so it makes you think that they think of the instrument as a timbral source of sound, not quite as a sort of temporary.
Not a kind of note. But here, the one we listen here is 3 notes different. You hear better, and ours it sounds very similar.
All right.
But for his ear, he say it's not similar. The noise is different.
No, for
No,
mine
it's
it's not similar either. I mean, it's completely different, but I'm used to see these keys with different pitches.
Yeah.
So when I hear difference in timbre or resonation, the resonator is quite different.
The resonator is different, and in fact, if I play soft and in the side, like that, I listen, the wood sounds different. But when I play strong, I think because maybe the resonance is very similar, the sounding is similar. But then they look for all things and then say, no, it's completely different. I know you play now the left, and now you like.
And this is the sort of connections as an electroacoustic composer, composer with writes for using technology and analysis for creative thinking. This is the sort of connections you find between the instrument and your technique and your compositional ideas.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, it's so difficult to work with an instrument like that.
Yeah, it's very difficult. All the composers who
struggle.
they struggle a lot, and they told me
Yeah.
how difficult it was. This one, Jean-Luc Fabchamp, who wrote the big piece, he was already doing something